All right, welcome. Today we're going to unpack something huge, how AI actually recognizes you and your brand. And believe it or not, the whole thing starts with a simple wrong number, all the way back in 1955.
So, you have to ask yourself, what could a random wrong number dialed almost 70 years ago possibly have to do with your brand's future in the age of AI? Well, as it turns out, everything. Let's jump back in time and I'll show you exactly how. Okay, picture this. It's 1955. We're in Colorado Springs. It's Christmas Eve, and a tiny little mistake is about to spark a global tradition. So, a local Sears store puts out this ad in the paper, right? Inviting kids to call up Santa Claus. Super cute, but there's a typo in the phone number, a big one. Instead of ringing Santa's workshop, the calls are routed to, of all places, the Continental Air Defense Command, CONAD. We're talking the ultra-secure hotline designed to watch for nuclear threats. No big deal, right?
And on the other end of that line is Colonel Harry Shoup. Now, he could have just hung up. He probably should have. Instead, he does something amazing. He glances over at his massive radar screens and tells the first kid who called, "Yep, we see him. We're tracking Santa's sleigh on radar."
And that moment, that wasn't just a one-off thing. That decision to just play along turned into an official annual mission, a mission that has lasted for decades, evolving right alongside our technology.
What's just so incredible is how that core idea never ever changed. CONAD eventually became NORAD, but the tradition just kept going. It started with a phone call in 1955. By the 90s, it was a website. Then came the apps, social media, and now you can ask Alexa where Santa is. The tech changed completely, but the identity, NORAD tracks Santa, it stayed perfectly, absolutely consistent.
Just think about that for a second. 70 years, more than 10 different platforms, and through it all, one single unmistakable identity. Now, this isn't just clever marketing. It's a masterclass in what's called structural identity persistence.
So what in the world does a sweet Christmas story from the 50s have to do with cutting-edge AI and machine learning? Well, it's basically the perfect blueprint.
This quote just nails it. Identity isn't about what you are on your website or on your social media. It's about what you remain across all of it. That consistency is exactly what AI is hungry for.
And this brings us to the big idea here, Multi-Modal Entity Recognition. That's a fancy term, but all it really means is an AI's ability to know that the you on your website, the you in a news article, and the you on your YouTube channel are all the same you. And that NORAD story, it's the best real-world example of this principle you could ever find.
And this right here is where the rubber meets the road. Look at the difference. On one side, you've got NORAD. The story is the same everywhere you look, rock solid. And AI sees that and thinks, okay, I get it. I trust this. But on the other side, it's chaos. That's what most brands look like. Your website says one thing, your LinkedIn profile says something else, your YouTube is a whole other story. That's not just confusing for people. For an AI, it's a giant red flag. It sees that fragmentation and thinks you're unreliable, untrustworthy. And the result? You get buried in search, ignored by algorithms, or just flat out misunderstood by the very systems that are shaping our digital world.
So how do we fix this? How do you make your brand more like NORAD? The good news is there's a system for it. We can actually reverse engineer what they did by instinct and turn it into a practical framework.
So here it is, a 4-layer framework designed to build that same kind of unbreakable consistency. You can think of it like a blueprint for being understood. Each layer supports the next one, making sure your core message doesn't get distorted as it travels out into the world.
Okay, layer 1. This is the foundation, your core identity anchor. This is your single source of truth. The goal here is simple: define who you are, what you do, and who you do it for, in less than 50 words. This little statement becomes your North Star. It's the one thing that has to show up in some way, everywhere.
Layer 2 is all about adaptation. You've got your core anchor. Now, how do you say that in a tweet? How does it sound in a video script? How do you write it in your website's About Us section? This is where you tailor the presentation for the format, but, and this is key, without ever changing the core meaning. It's exactly what NORAD did, going from phone calls to websites to social media.
All right, layer 3 is distribution. Now you take your perfectly adapted messages and you push them out everywhere you have a presence. The rule here is zero deviation. The exact words might change a bit, but the fundamental meaning has to be identical. The more places an AI finds this consistent signal, the more important and trustworthy it thinks you are.
And finally, we have layer 4, maintenance. This isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing.
You have to constantly check and make sure your identity is staying consistent. That means doing regular audits to spot what we call identity drift. Those tiny unintentional changes that creep in over time and start to confuse the message. This keeps you sharp and prevents that fragmentation we talked about.
So all of this brings us to the real question, the important part. How do you actually put this to work for yourself or your brand?
Here are 5 steps you can take, like today. 1. Write down that core identity anchor. Get it under 50 words. 2. Create some simple templates for how that anchor will look on your main platforms. 3. Do a quick audit. Where are you consistent and where are you not? 4. Push out updates to fix the inconsistencies. And 5. Put a reminder on your calendar to do a quick check-in every quarter. That's it.
So I want to leave you with this one final thought. After all this, from a wrong number in 1955 to a 4-layer framework for today, just ask yourself this. Is your identity clear enough, consistent enough, and strong enough for an AI to actually recognize you and trust you no matter where it looks?